Good morning, everyone. Today's edition of Title Scoop is actually going to be about cyber fraud. I've had several of you reach out asking about what the newest cyber fraud issues are, what to look out for, and with busy season coming upon us, I figured we'd maybe over the next week or so do cyber fraud as our topic, just so you guys are kind of aware of what's out there and what's new. So we're going to talk about two of the big ones today that have been the newest and the ones that you probably need to be most aware of right now, aside from obviously all the others that are always in the news and every Alta edition I feel like that I get of title topics, there's fraud, but these are two that definitely want to have on your radar during this busy season, just so that you know to keep an eye out for them. So the first one is split closings. So if you are not in an area that does split closings, this may not apply. I would still argue that even if you're not in an area where it's common, we all have done a split closing from one time or another, just depending on, a buyer maybe wanted to close somewhere else, a seller, whatever the reason may be. We still may be, this may be an issue that we may have. So what's happened with these, this is probably the newest kind of cyber fraud that's been out there, and it's a wire fraud, and criminals basically watch the transaction unfold. They watch it going back and forth, and what they basically have come to realize is there's a potential weakness between the title companies in verifying wire instructions. So the biggest thing that you can learn from this and know is don't ever assume another title company has the same level of wire verification or procedures that you do. Follow the same procedures and protocol no matter what. So if there's a split closing and you're going to be sending funds to another title company, you just want to make sure that you verify those wire instructions with someone from that title company, just so that you have the information and you know that wire is right. And if you can't, actually verify them, then make sure you send a check. That's probably going to be your safest bet, is have a check delivered, so that you don't send it to a criminal somewhere else. The second one is payoff wire fraud, and this one's been in the news a lot in the last year. I mean, enough that the Secret Service last year actually sent out a bulletin to all title companies saying, hey, beware, this is the newest kind of wire fraud. And it's actually being predicted that this may overtake buyer wire fraud in the next few years. So what happens is the same thing. Criminals are watching emails go back and forth, and when a payoff has been requested, and say, you've asked the seller to send it, or you've asked the realtor, the attorney, usually that's when a criminal would hack in, they would send a new payoff to you. And sometimes it's you've received one and they send a new one that's updated. Sometimes they just send it to you because they've been able to intercept the email in between. And basically what it is the payoff looks good. It looks exactly like it should, other than the wire instructions are to someone that is not the lender. So the Secret Service had some things they actually suggested. They said basically don't accept payoffs from anyone other than from your internal team. So make sure you're making those requests. I know in some markets that's going to be really hard. So you're going to want to make sure that if you are receiving them from, say, an attorney or someone else, that you really have a good procedure to make sure that those are valid. And then even if you do receive them, you're always going to want to verify them. So call that bank, call that institution, verify that payoff is the right amount, and then verify the wire instructions, because again, if you can't verify them, you need to make sure you're sending a check. The other thing I would say with anything with wires, if you have already verified wires, you don't need to do it every single time. So say you work with First National Bank every week, and you have their wire instructions. If you have already verified those and they're not changing, then it's fine to go with those wire instructions. And again, you should have a list of verified lender institutions especially. So that's it for this week. We'll talk about a couple more next week, but just wanted to tell you the top two that we're at least seeing in the news. And if you guys have other topics, let me know. If not, we'll see you next week. Thanks.